911 emergency. Stay on the line. Stay on the line.
Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's listening. In the podcast today is Friday, February the 6th, 2026. I'm here to speak about the mass shooting that happened in 2008, and this happened at a Lane Bryant store. There's going to be a new documentary that's going to be released about this case, and that's coming up next Friday, I believe the 13th. So I'm going to talk to you guys about that. And before I continue, I want to say thank you so much, everybody who has been subscribing and watching on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for doing that. It helps me as a creator. And of course, thank you guys so much, everybody who has been following the podcast, JulissaDesigns podcast on Spotify. Don't forget to follow it there. It helps me as a creator as well. And also, every time I make a new episode, you get a notification. Thank you guys so much for doing that. So I cannot believe it has been 18 years since this happened. Lane Bryant is very dear to me because not only because they sell plus size clothing, very stylish plus size clothing, but when I used to be in college, coming back home for like the breaks, the Christmas breaks and the summer breaks, I work at Lane Bryant. I think it was for about 2 years I did that. So I will work during this December break, and I will, go back to school and then come back in the summer, and then I have my job over there at Lane Bryant. And I really, it was a very close unit. Even though I was just there like temporarily, I still felt very connected to everybody who worked there, to the brand. I love the customers. A lot of people, they knew that I was in fashion school, so they would ask me a lot for styling. And during Christmas break, I used to help so many of the husbands that would come up, and they're like, I'm looking for something for my wife. Can you help me? Things like this. So I'm very familiar with the customers that shop at Lane Bryant. I got so used to the brand. I used to love looking at what was coming up next and things like this, and I would shop there, of course, right? Not only did I get a great discount for working there, but I used to get like the previews, and they also would give you like samples when you work there because they wanted you to enjoy the brand so much that you can also sell it, right? I think a lot of retail stores do that, and I really enjoy my time there. And what happened in Tinley Park, well, I'm going to give you a review in case you haven't heard. Like I said, this happened in 2008. It's been so long. And the crazy thing about this case is that it hasn't been resolved yet. Back in 2022, I came here to my channel and I made a video about it because, like I said, I always have positive things to say about Lane Bryant. I couldn't believe that something like this will happen, right? And I also remember that they didn't really have like a security system. I remember that part. Being the early person, a lot of the times during like I will open Saturdays with my manager, and the same thing like during the week I will open because they will have like a lot of part timers who just come after the full time job and do like a couple hours at night. So I remember them. It was just we would just close the gate in the front. It wasn't really like a big security thing that you can tell. Oh yeah, the cameras are 24/7 recording. I remember that part. So when I heard about this case and what happened over there in Tinley Park, and they were like, there's really no video. I kind of knew. I'm like, yeah, because it's Lane Bryant. I know they don't have cameras. But it was very shocking. I cannot believe, like I said, it's been so long, and this person who did this hasn't been caught yet. And it's very sad for the families and for everybody associated with this. So I'm going to give you a brief summary of what happened over there. On February the 2nd, 2008, a mass murder occurred at a Lane Bryant store in Brookside Marketplace in Tinley Park, Illinois, where a gunman killed 5 women and injured another, marking a notorious cold case. As of February 2026, the perpetrator remains at large, and the investigation continues 18 years later with a $100,000 reward still. Okay, the incident was that It was an early Saturday morning. Imagine this. When I would open Lynn Bryan with my manager, we had this routine of, we go to the bank first. We walk in the store, we'll clock in, and then we'll grab the deposit from the night before and walk to the bank to deposit it. We'll close down again, go and deposit, and then come back to the store and do the opening, procedures, I guess you can say. And, just be ready to opening on time, right? And then it's a Saturday morning, excuse me. It was a Saturday morning when this happened. And just after they opened this store in Tinley Park, they suddenly got a delivery guy coming in saying he has a big delivery. And he was asking questions, right? And at the store, it was the store manager and two other part-time employees, right? Or another part-time employees, and then there were customers. And to tell you, like, Lane Bryant is the retail store, like many other stores, that the deliveries were so scheduled. Like if we had a floor plan, we know what we were getting. Like they will tell you what's coming this week, and just so you should be expecting this. That's why when a customer will say, do you have this sweater? Like I have the magazine, the catalog, or the magazine, I guess you can say, are you getting this sweater? And we were like, okay, let's see what is coming in the truck. And then we're like, okay, it says here that we will get it by Friday. So we kind of knew what was coming, right, that week. And to get a delivery of merchandise on a Saturday was very rare because they will leave that time for you to spend it with the customers, right? Because it will always be busy on the weekends, right? And so this guy walks in right after they open the store in Tinley Park, and he said he has the delivery, right? So Rhoda McFarlane, I believe her name was, the store manager, she's like, let me call another location because we're not really expecting any deliveries, right? And as she does that, and she calls the other location that I know we're not supposed to be getting anything. We didn't really get anything here yet. So she hangs up the phone call with the other location, and she says to the guy, I guess they start communicating. They say, we're not really expecting anything. And then he says, he made it known, I guess, to them that it was a robbery, right? So, I'm going to give you more information just so that I'm not saying it by memory. It says here that at the location was Rhoda McFarlane, like I told you, 42 years old. She was the store manager. Connie Woolfall, 37, Jennifer Bishop, 34, and Carrie Schuster, 33, and Sarah Safransky, 22. And they were all shot execution style and died of their injuries. The sixth woman who was shot, a part-time employee at the store who survived her injuries, has never been publicly named, right, for obvious reason. So, one of the women was also sexually assaulted by the suspect, though police have never revealed which of the victims was involved. And so they imagine, like I cannot imagine being confronted by something like this, especially after working on Lane Bryant. Like I said, to be presented, like it was just three store employees, excuse me, the store manager, and then there were customers, and they were saying as people were walking in the store Saturday morning, right? He was basically taking everybody to the back and putting zip ties on them, on their hands, and putting underwear from a display table over their heads, right? And I just cannot imagine what a nightmare that this woman suffered, right? And like I was reading just now, one of them survived, and she has not been, they're not identifying her for obvious reason. But she said she did release a statement right when it happened, and she said those were the most bravest woman I ever met. And that survivor was able to do a sketch of the suspect and kind of basically tell the police, everything how it went down, everything, right? And I cannot believe that This took place at a Lane Bryant store in a shopping center. It wasn't like a long-standing store, right? Early Saturday morning, um, this is a Lane Bryant next to a Sally beauty supply store. Across the way, across the parking lot, there was a Target store, right? We all know how many people go to Target on a Saturday morning. And there were other stores in that same shopping strip. And I cannot believe that there were no witnesses that can say, yeah, so a man running out of that store and get into this car, and this was the license plate. Um, it was just, thank God for that survivor that was able to do the sketch and basically tell exactly what happened. And another thing that happened during that crazy encounter that these people went through, was that Rhoda, think about it, it's 2008. Not a lot of people, I guess the phones that we had back then, they were not so up to date. I guess you can say, like we are now, we can take a photo in seconds, right? Rhoda had one of those Bluetooth sets that you put, people will walk around with them in their ears, right? And with that, Rhoda, bravely enough, was able to call the police. And there is the audio of that call. And you listen to that, and you listen to Rhoda saying, Lane Bryant, Tinley Park, and you're like, oh my goodness, people, get there as soon as possible. Get them help as soon as possible. And then you hear the intruder say he noticed immediately that she was making a call. How did that happen? Right? So she was so brave to do that. For her to take that step, and just be brave enough to place that phone call, to alert the police. And then you hear this man saying, you're trying to be a hero now, right? You can hear that in the call. I'm going to see if I can put it here for the video. In case you haven't heard this all over like the internet. And I was like, wow, that is so brave of her to do that. And even so, this man immediately noticed that he probably came at her, and, I don't know what happened after that, right? But the call got disconnected. And it took like, I don't know how many minutes it took for the police to get to that store, because there was a trooper like right on that Target parking lot, and he heard the call from the police radio, and he was able to go. He's basically saying, I'm right across Lane Bryant right now. So they didn't get there fast enough. So this guy killed all of them, and then the survivor was not killed because she moved her body, when it was, I guess it was going one by one, right? So he moved her body, but this case is so sad. The crazy thing also is that these families have been waiting for an answer to who did this to them, right? Who did this to this woman? It's been so long, and now the reason that I'm bringing this case up again, like I said, I had made a video, I think it was in 2022, is that there is a new documentary coming up next week that hopefully is going to bring light again to this case, and more people will get to see it, exactly what happened. And, whoever did this, man, whoever is aware that maybe a friend of them or a family member of them confessed to doing something like this, we pray that, that person will come and confess that, so that this family will have closure. I know it's been 18 years. Whoever did this I guarantee you guys, that person has now has peace in 18 years, because whoever did this is so evil, right? And evil people, there is no rest for the wicked, like the Bible says. I'm sure that person has been, you know, um, just thinking about everything that he did. Like, how do you move on with life, even if it's been 18 years? People rather do that instead of coming clean and just facing what's going on, right? Facing what they did and taking, the consequences for their actions. So let me see if I can get you more information about it. It says here The horrific crime, which changed countless lives that day, is the subject of the upcoming documentary by former American Most Wanted producer Charlie Min. The Tinley Park Five, that's what it's called, is slated to be debuted February the 13th in a number of local theaters in the area. And the whole point, this is what he said, the whole point is to stir up enough attention, raise enough awareness to solve the case. Excuse me, this case has faded. People are busy. They move on. I have hope to see this and become as angry as I am about what happened. Also, also hopeful is Mike Hude, brother of Kerry Cuso, who continues to want answers for his family. And this is what the brother of Kerry said. I kind of had to forgive and let go right after it happened because I was going down that rabbit hole of why and if what could have been done. But you can't undo what happened. The individual is not going to get going until somebody speaks up. And that's what I'm saying. Somebody knows. You can't tell me this guy has been hiding this for 18 years and has not shared this information with anybody. Somebody knows, and that's, he's a coward. I mean, he's such a coward to go into a women's store and do that to innocent people. You walk in with that intention. They're trying to help you figure out why you're doing there, why you mean you have a delivery, and then you carelessly are going to do that to them. The people that you never met before in your life, they haven't done nothing to you, and you're gonna think you're gonna have peace and you don't complain. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. So it says here that somebody knows, that's what they were saying, and somebody uh needs to speak up and identify who he is. I mean, he's somebody's son, grandson, nephew, whatever the case may be. Somebody's aware of who this individual is, right? Like I always tell you guys, your family knows. Like, how can it's definitely somebody like you can, like I said, I'm thinking this person is not just keeping this information to himself. He has told many people. He has so many people. And how can you move on with life seeing how the families are grieving, praying? That survivor has to be kept in secrecy because of, he has not been identified yet. And it's just crazy. I'm trying to see what else they're saying. So the documentary is going to be released, and I'm just reading here the comments. Somebody says, I have so many questions. Did the person who did this steal any money from the store? Has it been determined who died first? If so, was the manager a person combination to the safe? Were any of the women beaten? If so, one more than the others? Is there a possibility that this person was related to any security working there? So yeah, those are great questions. I can tell you guys from working at Bryant, we didn't have like a security guard, nothing like this, right? I don't think when I worked there back then, just like around that time too, maybe a couple years before that happened, they were not, they didn't have security cameras. We have tags on the clothing, and that's basically it. And the little money that was kept at the register, I mean, we would do the passes every day, so there was really nothing kept at the store. And I think a lot of retail stores are like that. And the little money that was kept at the register was just enough change. If somebody came with like $100 cash and we have to give them back change, nothing major like 500, nothing like that, from what I remember. So it was a very targeted thing to pick a Lane Bryant store, a woman's clothing store from a chain. It's almost like, on a Saturday morning, right when they open, they're not going to have a lot of cash. They just open. I think he walked in like 15 minutes after they opened. Was there for 40 minutes. So I also have some questions, right? Um, I mean, were they Saturdays when people would wait outside for us to open the stores on a regular day, even without having a sale? Yeah, because people, people like going to shop on Saturdays, especially Saturday morning. So I find it very odd, right? I find it very odd that nobody else, in within 40 minutes that this guy was there, nobody else walked in and interrupted this thing, right? It was basically the people that were there right after he walked in. I think maybe one or two walked in after, and then that's when he started this whole ordeal about this fake robbery. And I'm saying fake because he ended up killing them, right? So, I mean, fake delivery, I guess we can say it. Nobody else came in. Nobody else dropped by in 40 minutes. That's a very long time for this thing to be, for them to be having a sale. That's why Rhoda was working, because they were having a Saturday sale and she knew the store was going to be busy. Nobody else walked in. Also, and this is just my observation, and you can compare the video that I did back then in 2022, but I don't know if I said this, but just thinking about it and watching other people speak about it, I find it um I find it very odd that it was five of them that got killed. So the sixth one got survived, right? I find it that one person, okay, just hear me out. What, like, where were these people at the store, right? I'm trying to picture Lane Bryant. Usually the cell is usually, excuse me, the light just went crazy here. The cell is usually put towards the back, right? Because they want people to walk all the way to the back and see everything in the store. The new merchandise is usually at the front. So when you walk in and you go in there just to see what's on sale because you got a flyer or something, you're gonna walk straight to the back if you know the brand, right? Um, but like, where were the people positioned, the customers, when he walking? I'm trying to picture maybe the part timer was at the register. Rhoda was probably near the back organizing the sale, and then some customers were near the front and some towards the back. Did he call when he called? This is a robbery. When he called that out, the person who was near the front entrance, did the person walk to the back because he said that? Like, what did he say? Did he threaten them and say, somebody's outside, if you try to leave, somebody's gonna shoot at you? Because I cannot believe that this guy managed to do this to five people. I cannot understand how that happened, especially in a store like that that people can be all the way in the back, people can be right at the entrance, right? I'm trying to think, like, how did that all come together? And if you're shopping at a store and this random guy is like, okay, I need everybody over here by the register. Like, who are you to give me orders, right? Like, if you're a customer, you're gonna be like, what does that even mean? I'm out of here. So how did that happen? So he probably say, if you try to leave, you're gonna get shot. I have somebody outside with a gun or something. That's what I was just thinking now. And because I cannot imagine that this guy did this by himself. Also, I'm trying to think. I'm like, what did this guy went in there with a gun, right? He went in with a weapon and um, he went with zip ties. So he has five people that he has to tie their hands and feet, I guess you can say, or their hands, let's just say. He has to tie their hands. What is he saying to the other people that, I mean, to put zip ties in, you have to put the gun down, right? You have to get the zip tie and lock them into place. I think the the psychology behind the words that he used were so strong that none of them, um, they were terrified. They were so terrified, rightfully so. I cannot imagine something like that. And you can tell by Rhoda in the phone call. That was It was very chilling, the call that she did, but thanks be to God, she was so brave enough to do that. I mean, this man has 5 grown women that he has to bring to the back, I guess you can say. He has to make sure that nobody enters the store, right? Because he's going to be interrupted. I don't know how he managed that. I think there was more than one person. I don't know how he managed that. I mean, there was nobody at the front door saying nobody's allowed to come in, because that would have been like, oh yeah, something, let me call the police because something funky is going on in Bryant. I was not allowed to walk in. For 40 minutes, he managed to bring all of them to the back, put zip ties on all of them, and put underwear from the display on their heads. That's a long time. So not only did he have a weapon, he was saying something so big to this woman that, you know, that he had the time to do that. I don't know how else to describe it. And you can probably tell, he probably said, if you try to leave, my body is outside with the gun, you're gonna be shot immediately. And maybe they say that he assaulted one of them. Maybe they all got terrified, not only because he had a gun, but if they saw what he did to one of them, maybe one of them was already crying already by the assault. Maybe they were so terrified to even make any move, right? So Rhoda said Lane Bryant Harry, Tinley Park Harry, she knew that this man was really going to do what he said he was going to do. So hopefully, let's hope, guys, by this new documentary, somebody's gonna bring this guy. Somebody's gonna say who this man is. That this has been 18 years. Is way too long for this to not have been resolved. So let me know, guys, what you think about this. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the channel. And if there's an update about this case after they release this documentary coming up, so I'll definitely do another video. Thank you guys so much for coming to the channel. Thank you to everybody who's watching and listening in the podcast. Have a good day. God bless.
One virgin thing. Stay on the line. Stay on the line.
Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good day, everybody. God bless.